Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Let's see if my recording device actually does it this time. So I'm Jamie B of Jamie B Books, and today I am doing a tag video, but it's not exactly like the last tag video. This is an original one. I tried the other getting to know you sort of tags. None of them really capture what I want to be saying about myself and my channel. So I decided, well, we need one that does the kinds of questions that I would expect to be talking about at a cocktail party. So I like to imagine that the booktube world is like a giant cocktail party full of people that read books. And we wander around and we talk to each other. And if the conversation peters out, you just, turn around and talk to the next people that you bump into that look interesting. And we just keep doing that, and eventually some people leave the party and other people show up, and we just keep going. So the kinds of questions that would be going on in that kind of setting are not interview questions. They are a lot more about who you are, what you like, what you do. Fun questions where you actually might enjoy answering them, which is one of the things that's missing in some of the intro tags. Most of us just kind of stumble through the questions and wish that we didn't have to answer some of them, and so here are my 10 questions for the Getting to Know Me tag. And if you're not a booktuber but you've stumbled across this tag and you like it, go for it, because we get a bit elitist sometimes in the online book world, as if we're the only ones that read books. Realistically, not everybody that's considering themselves part of the online book world reads a lot. And of the ones that do read a lot, it's not just books that we do in our lives. So even if we read a lot, we may not identify ourselves as primarily book people. We just might read. In other contexts, I actually don't start out with, I read a lot of books. It's just in this community that is the most relevant feature of my lifestyle. So, if you want to do this tag, do this tag. I may actually tag a few people. I've been around just long enough that I have a few booktubers that I'd kind of like to see what they would say for these questions. I don't know if they'll do it because I am still a relatively new booktuber, but they might. We'll see. So, without any further ado, let's get to the first question. What were the last 5 books you read and really liked? So, I've read a lot of books recently. We had the Dewey's Readathon not too long ago, which always increases the number of books I've finished. And I also have been reading more just because of BookTube. But the books that I've read recently and really liked, last 5, were actually still on my shelves. So these are the 5 books I liked that I read most recently. And I don't usually keep books after I finish them, so it's unusual that I still actually have them. You can kind of tell that I've been doing a lot more reading than usual because of that. I haven't had time to get rid of them yet. So Omen Ra by Victor Pelevin. Classic, modern classic fiction out of Russia in translation. It was funny in a way that I don't think the Russian government would appreciate, but it was funny. End of Watch by Stephen King, the sequel to Mr. Mercedes. If you haven't read Mr. Mercedes yet, you should. And then End of Watch, I think, is actually better than Mr. Mercedes, but won't make much sense unless you've read Mr. Mercedes first. Hallucinating Foucault, which is an interlibrary loan book, so you can't really see anything of a cover on it. This one is by Patricia Dunker and was actually really good. I'll probably do a video on this book and on Foucault if I can find my Foucault books. So that will probably be its own video later this week. I do have to return it after that because it's an interlibrary loan book. Depths of Glory, a biographical novel on Camille Pissarro by Irving Stone. This one is definitely a tome. Nice big fat book. Yeah. And it kind of is art history, but in a novel form. So it's still very much art history. If you don't like history, this might be a bit dry for you. But it is a little bit more storytelling than your typical history book. There are good history books, too, where they actually get the idea that they're telling a story. But in any case, that one was really good. And then Buck Shivett's Memories. This one I'm actually keeping. It is an art book, and it actually has some paintings in it that I want. And since it's not an artist where I'm likely to find posters anytime soon, I kind of have to keep that one. The rest of them I will be sending on either back to the library or giving them to my siblings. One of them actually belongs to my sister, so she'll probably want it back. Then what genres were the last 10 books you read? So I'm just going to go down the list on Goodreads of the last 10 books I read and rattle off the genres here. So modern classic, sort of semi-classic murder mystery from the 90s, so I don't think it's that old, but apparently it is. Thriller, art book, art history book, modern classic, world literature and translation, coffee table book, classic, art book, and science fiction short stories. So some genres I don't read as much of, except lately. I don't usually read that much art in one week, but this has been a different sort of week, partly because of the readathon. And I've just been in the mood for art for some reason lately. So, yeah. Yeah, I do read other books that are not in that list, but you'll find out a lot more about my reading history as we go along. I read a lot of books. Next we have how organized is your reading? Do you plan what you will read? Do you keep a record of what you read? And how? So I actually do TBR walls. Every month I go through my vast collection of unread books and choose out a short wall of books. It was originally a TBR stack, and then it became 2 stacks, then it became 4, and now it's just a TBR wall of books that has to fit in the viewfinder of my camera. So it can't be bigger than that. It has to fit wherever I'm stacking them, so usually the kitchen counter so far. And then out of those books, if I am trying to decide what to read next, I try to pull a book from that wall of books. I take a picture of it, so I don't have to keep the whole wall of books on my kitchen counter all the time. I can actually put them back and just look at the picture. Yeah, so theoretically, that's my TBR for the month. Realistically, I also get other books throughout the month that I might want to read next anyway, and so that does happen sometimes. Yeah, I also get a lot of library books. So sometimes my library books are too tempting to hold off on. Do I plan what I will read? Not really. I do kind of do events when I feel like it. Like it was, Victober, so I did read Tenant of Wildfell Hall for Victober. But I only kind of sort of thought about it, and I will be reading The Mysteries of Udolpho, which I think is also one that counts for Victober. But it's just something that I can choose from when I'm choosing what to read. Otherwise, I'm really more of a mood reader. I very rarely accomplish all of the grand plans that I start with for the month, but I read some of it, and I enjoy what I read. It's just, other things come up that are more tempting. Do I keep a record of what I read? Yes. I keep a record that includes a spreadsheet, Goodreads, and a notebook because my finances and my situation is always so precarious that I don't always have the internet. I don't always have a computer that works. And at the same time, writing everything down in a notebook is tedious and you can't sort them by different categories. I love the spreadsheet for that. And I also like Goodreads for that. Question 4. What 5 books do you want to start reading next? I want to start. I also have books that I'm in the middle of, so I'm not going to show them off in this one, but first one is a short story anthology edited by John Joseph Adams called Wastelands. These are post-apocalyptic stories featuring Octavia Butler, Orson Scott Card, Jonathan Lethem, George R.R. Martin, Stephen King, Gene Wolfe, and many others. I've read several other collections by this editor, and I really like them. So I'm looking forward to that, obviously, for Halloween. Next up, Amos Oz, Suddenly in the Depths of the Forest. I just really like the title, and I wanted to read something set in the area of Israel, or at least by an author from there. Amos Oz came to mind, and they didn't have the book that is on the Boxhall's 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list in our library. But they did have this one, so I'm going to read that. Next up, I have one that might actually count for Victober. I don't remember the dates for Victober exactly, but I think Anne Radcliffe falls in there, especially Mysteries of Udolpho. It's gothic, and yeah, the lady looks like she's dressed appropriately for Victober. Anyway, that's my Halloween reads that I'm going to probably start soonish. I'm going to start this one today, Michael Innes, Hamlet Revenge. I was going to read a whole bunch of murder mysteries that reference Hamlet in some way in the title. So this is one of those. I have a few more stacked around the house. But I kind of got sidetracked and didn't do that project. So I'm just reading them when I get to them. And then the last one I want to start soon is Death of the Demon by Anne Holt. Anne Holt is the godmother of modern Norwegian crime fiction. That sounds promising. Okay, so that's the next 5 books I want to start. Next question. When you are not reading, what do you do for fun? I do a lot of things, actually. I'm disabled and unemployed, so I have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of money because until I get Social Security disability set up, which I've had snags, seems to be the case for a lot of people. There will probably be videos, not so much about books, but about that process, because I really need to get that set up. I'm getting older. I need to have that set up. But yeah, so I have a lot of time on my hands, and I do a lot of stuff. I do volunteering. So I work in a food pantry. I used to volunteer doing records stuff for the Historical Society. I want to get involved with the Archaeological Society this coming year. I love sifting, so I want to get involved in some actual digs and do sifting. I've heard that sometimes they actually will pay you to do that stuff. But that's okay. I'm alright even just volunteering just to play with a sifter and find treasures in the dirt. I crochet. I made this hat last month. I rescue kittens. Watch a lot of rug cleaning videos and landscaping videos. The landscaping videos where they show up at a yard that really needs help and they make it all pretty. I wish I could do that. I don't have the tools, and with my disability, I would need to team up with somebody. But I love string trimmers, and I'm hoping to get one soon so that I can go around and do string trimming for my yard and for any other neighbors' yards that need it, just because it's so much fun. Yeah. All right. Next question. Are you into music? What songs or bands have you listened to lately? Yes, I am into music. I used to be a music blogger. I would go around to up to 30 shows a week and take pictures and talk to the bands and blog about music. And I'd put my pictures up on Facebook so that the bands could tag themselves and people could tag each other in the photos, and it was really great, and it really helped build the music scene where I was at. It was a lot of fun, and I got into a lot of shows for free because the bands liked me because I took pictures of them for free and introduced them to each other. There are groups now that when I met them, I met each of the members of the group separately, and they were in different bands, and I introduced them to each other, and now they are a band, and they're so cool. So I loved doing that. Where I live now, it's not really safe for me to be out at night by myself, so I haven't been doing that anymore, and I don't know, I kind of would like to do it again, but I would have to be in a place where I feel safe walking around town at night by myself, because getting someone to go with you to do music blogging, walking around from one show to the next in a downtown area, most people want to stay for the whole show, and they don't really want to not drink. You can't take good pictures if you're drunk. So yeah, I really like music. I really like local and regional bands. I also do like some bigger bands as well. I like Josh Groban. I like Paolo Nutini, who I guess isn't somebody that travels, the big stadium shows, but still not from here. I like Little Big Town and Lady Antebellum, or Lady A, I guess is what they're called now. Dixie Chicks. I like choir music. I used to be in choir. I sing alto or alto 2, and I really wish I could get down into the lower super contralto range, but I also have a range that goes up almost to top of soprano. I like Queen because I can sing along with Freddie Mercury really well. Our ranges are almost matched, so that's fun. And I definitely like some of the Broadway music, so Les Miserables especially, Chess the musical. Yeah. I'll have to do some videos that are more about my music tastes eventually, but I'm going to stick more to books for a while. Do you enjoy art? Question 7. Do you enjoy art? Who are your favorite artists? I do like art. I did an art degree, sort of, but I didn't graduate with an art degree because I didn't take Drawing 1 and History of World Art 1. I got into printmaking and was taking graduate level printmaking classes while I still hadn't had those first 2 classes. And it was already my second major at the same time as the thing I wanted to graduate with. So I decided to just not worry about the art degree, because you don't really get a job for having an undergrad in art anyway. So I don't think I regret that choice, but I do definitely like art. I like Sol LeWitt a lot. And I don't think I remember the name of the artist anymore. There was an artist whose giant rat sculpture was in the Tate Modern just before I was there. And I like the kind of art that you have to experience it. There was actually another one, I think by Louise Bourgeois, that was a giant spider in the Tate Modern after I was there. I've only been to England once, so it was quite a while back. But I still have the picture that I cut out from a magazine from a free shelf of this giant spider that apparently you had to walk under the spider to enter the art museum. Oh, I love that idea. Question 8. Moving on. Who are your reading buddies? I have at the moment 5 cats and 4 kittens. The 4 kittens are going to be leaving me in a couple weeks. They have ringworm, and I'm fostering them until they get all better, and then they go to a rescue proper, and then they'll take care of getting them fixed and getting them adopted. So I have 4 kittens at the moment, and I also have a 5th kitten that's part of my 5 cats that I'm keeping. His name is Christopher, and the 4 cats, 2 of them are going to hopefully be leaving as well, because when I move, I'm going to try not to move all the cats. So I will probably keep Katerina. She has 1 good eye and 1 bad eye, and she's very cute. She's mad at me because Christopher was staying with somebody else and came back last night, and she's not happy about that. So she doesn't really remember him, and she feels like I've introduced a cat to the household that she did not approve. Poor cat. But they did know each other. They just haven't seen each other for a couple weeks. Yeah. The other one I'll probably be keeping is Julian. He is Christopher's uncle, and he's a big, short-haired, tan and white cat who thinks that he's very small. He's very shy, and he doesn't stand up for himself, so he's staying with me. And I have Valentina. She's black and white. She's a year old, and will probably be going away. She was captured when she was a bit older, so she didn't socialize as easily. So I've been basically fostering her for longer, getting her social enough to be adoptable. And the other one I have that's leaving is Simon. He's a lynx point, so white with tabby markings. And he doesn't really like dogs, so he's been hard to adopt out. Everybody that's wanted him so far has big dogs, so he freaks out and hides under the bed the rest of the day. So he's going to go to a rescue as well. They can handle that and find him a home with no dogs pretty easily. So at the moment I have a lot of cats, but not all of them are going to be staying. And I love cats. I do kitten rescue, so there will be more. Question 9. Do you enjoy reading sprints, readathons, book clubs, group reads, or other social reading activities online or in person? I enjoy reading sprints. I help run a readathon, so I better enjoy it. I don't really do book clubs very well because half the books book clubs are reading I've already read, and the other half I didn't really want to. But any book clubs sound like fun. They're more just like social get-togethers for people that read. But I haven't ever met one that I actually could get involved with. Group reads, I don't usually manage to join them because the book they're reading, if I do want to read it, I'm not reading it right now, and I'm already reading too many other books. And in person, I love the idea of a reading party. I just have never met enough people that also want to do a reading party to do one. We used to do them as kids when I was little. And question 10, how many books do you read per year? Do you set numerical goals for the year, or monthly or weekly? I read a lot of books per year, usually between 200 and 300 books a year. I set my Goodreads goal every year at 365 books. Halfway through the year, in June or July, I let myself change that goal if I want to. You can. You can just click on it and change the number. So if by halfway through the year, I'm not reading as fast as I usually do, or I've been reading a lot of big books, so the numbers just are not as big as they usually are, I can drop my goal. And I usually drop it to 300, and then if it's still not going well, at the end of the third quarter, so right around October, I can change my goal again. So I don't insist on the 365 books. That's just a start of the year goal. I like the idea. Sometimes I do actually make it. I've had a few years where I was decidedly over 365 books. But if I read a lot of big books, it's just not possible to do that and read a lot of other books at the same time. It takes X number of minutes to read X number of pages, and at some point it's just not going to happen. And I do a lot of audiobooks, so while I'm crocheting, I'm usually also listening to a book. So that helps with my number goals. And I don't own a TV. If I watch things, they're on my computer. And I don't really have a huge drive to watch movies or TV shows. So most of the time, I'm either listening to music or listening to an audiobook, which is how I read that many books. So that is me. That is my getting to know me tag. If you like this tag, please do it. And, tag me so that I can see what you did. Or, post in the comments that you did my tag so I can see your responses. Hopefully by a year from now, my videos will be so much more professional looking and clean, and I know what they ought to look like. I just can't do it yet. In the meantime, I'll read a lot of books and talk about a lot of books and talk about art and music and kittens and crochet, and probably do some live streams eventually that are kind of sitting and stitching and chatting books with people. Basically like going to a stitching group and talking about books, which actually I do. I have some stitching groups that I go to where other people read and we talk books. But they don't read as much as me. There's still a place in my life for the booktube. So anyway, that was me. I'm Jamie. Check me out if you like this video at all. And let me know if you did the tag. And I will check you out. And if I like what I see, I will subscribe to you. And we will be BookTube buddies. Bye.